All right, so we're on the PTR, and we're checking out the one button rotation here, and I wanted to see how it did with tanking. I messed around with it like on the Unholy, and you know, it did a pretty decent job in terms of like keeping up the festering wound strikes and stuff like that, but I wanted to see how it would fare with tanking. Like, does this open up, you know, the door to make it easier to go into tanking for some people, you know, so they can get like a general idea as they're leveling what being a tank is like without having to worry about the rotation, and then they can obviously, you know, dive into it once they have an understanding of that. But I was very intrigued, so I'm going to try some stuff out here. You can see here the single button rotation. I'm most familiar with Death Knights, so that's what I'm using. This is a Blood DK. This is max level. And I don't know why it has Unholy. Anyway, you can see here it has the core rotation, which is correct. You know, Blood Boil, Consumption, Death and Decay, Death Strike, Heart Strike, Morrowind, Soul Reaper. They are the core. That is the foundation of the Blood Death Knight rotation. It doesn't include like your major cooldowns like Dancing Room Weapon, which are also extremely important for a Blood DK. But regardless, you know, it'll at least get you in the right area. So as I was trying it out, I noticed that it wasn't using Morrowind. And, you know, you might say, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, for being a Blood Death Knight, the most important buff to keep track of is your Bone Shield, because that is what gives us our main defensive abilities. That is what prevents the most damage. Like, it's very crucial to the Blood Death Knight playstyle. And as you can see, as I come up here, you know, Death and Decay, Blood Boil, Heart Strike. He goes through the rotation, and he keeps alternating, which is what you're supposed to do. You rotate between Blood Boil and Heart Strike as long as your Death and Decay is down. But he never uses Morrowind. Okay, and just to show you here, when I use Morrowind, it gives me 3 stacks of Bone Shield. Like I said, this is crucial for a Blood Death Knight. I have this weak core up here just so you can see when it's not actually activated. So you can see here, armor increased by 67,000 and haste is increased by 10%. It is paramount for a Blood DK playstyle. So it doesn't work on the training dummy, and I was like, okay, let's try and see if it works in an actual dungeon. So that's what I want to actually do, and we're just going to do a follower because it is the PTR. We'll go Priory, just because there's a lot of mobs here. So it piqued my interest as I was messing around with it. I was like, hey, you know, it's not putting Bone Shield up. Why isn't it using Morrowind, which is in the single button rotation? And so maybe it's only like a training dummy thing. I don't know. That's why I want to jump in here and see. But my initial thought with this is like, you know, the single button rotation is obviously for DPS. It does not work for healing. I've tried it on my Resto Shaman. The only thing it does on the Resto Shaman is it uses damaging spells. So it does not use healing spells at all. So it's primarily only DPS, and you know, maybe this does work with like other tanks. I'm not familiar with other tanks, so I don't know what warriors, paladins, or anything like that, you know, if it's important, but at least for like a Blood DK, it is. So I want to see if he's going to use Morrowind at all. Doesn't look like. I mean, he dropped Death and Decay, which is right. Then he did Blood Boil, and then he's doing Heart Strike. So he's still not using Morrowind. Okay, this is only a follower dungeon. I get it, but I just want to see. That was me. I used Morrowind. I want to see what he's gonna do here. I'm just gonna do like a really big pull. It is a follower dungeon, so it's not like anybody's gonna die. Whoa. Okay, that was really weird that it put my Death and Decay all the way over there. So let's see. A bunch of mobs. Still not using it. So even with all these mobs, it still won't activate Bone Shield. So Death and Decay is gone, so then it cycles back. It follows everything else. It just doesn't do. It even does Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper actually triggered there, which you use Soul Reaper when your opponent is below 35% health. So let's see. For this guy, will it trigger him? Does Death and Decay. Blood Boil. There's Soul Reaper. Okay, but he's still not using. He doesn't activate Bone Shield. Really interesting. Okay. So I'll report it as a bug because I don't think it's working as intended, as it shows in the rotation here that it is. But anyway, wooden button tanking, it probably works for other classes, right? If you're familiar with like a warrior, paladin, or something like that, like maybe. I'm not familiar with those classes, so I can't tell you what the rotation consists of or how it does with tanking, but at least for a Blood Death Knight, it's not really viable. So I don't think that's working as intended. But, you know, anyway, that was kind of my thought. I just wanted to show it off, and you can see the one button in progress here. Like I said, I did it for Unholy, and it did really, really well in terms of like keeping festering wounds. I'm not gonna bother with showing you, but because you get it. So, not sure, but you know, what are your thoughts? Have you tried it with another tank? If anybody's on the PTR, I don't have anybody else that's max level. I could try it on like a warrior, just like a level 70 or something, but yeah. I mean, at least for other classes, maybe it works pretty well. And, you know, maybe it'll be like a entry point into tanking for some people. So there you have it. Like and subscribe if you like WoW content. I do guides, stuff like that. See you in the next one.